What's up, guys? Welcome to Daily Dose of Reddit. This is your host, Zach, and today's subreddit is r/TalesFromTheCustomer. Alright, this story's called Holy Hotel Nightmare. Noise, attempted break-in, and a police escort. Let me begin with this background info. My husband and I travel pretty consistently, and have so for years now. We've stayed in top-tier hotels, and some pretty crummy one-star inns and motels at places around the world, and generally never have had issues, save for the occasional minor inconvenience that does not require a complaint. Thus, I was hugely shocked at the situation that is about to unfold before you in my freaking hometown. My family planned on traveling to our family's beach house, which is only about 4 hours from them, but an 8-hour ride from us. So we planned on leaving once we got out of work and driving to their place to stay overnight and finish the drive in the morning. My parents are very difficult people in general, on top of being older, and they do not travel well, high anxiety, stress, etc. They also live in a very small townhouse in a mid-sized city in the Northeast United States. So rather than cram us into a tiny living room with one couch that is also filled with bags and luggage all over it for the trip the next morning, my mom asked that we stay in a hotel that she would pay for. Instead of bickering with her, it's usually better to just go with it, especially since my husband and I actually had Brovid in April and still have antibodies, recently tested. We felt okay with staying in the hotel, considering we would arrive rather late and wake up early to leave anyway, mostly low contact. Anywho, we get to the hotel around 10 p.m. and check in, but are told the room we requested was overbooked and get moved to a different type. Not really a big deal to either of us, but in hindsight, would have saved us from the chaos that was about to occur had the hotel never overbooked. When we get there, a large family is walking their kids up and down the hallway between the two rooms they had booked for their family. Children between 4 and 6 years old's my best guess. Now, this doesn't really bother my husband or me much. We both like kids. I am a teacher and am pretty used to kid noise. It's like my silence level is already rather high on the noise scale. It was still only like 10-15 at that point, but we wanted to catch up on Brooklyn Nine-Nine anyway, so we figured they would settle down by the time we finished. When we came into our room, we saw our room was one that would join with theirs if unlocked. Comes into play later, between 10:30 and 11 p.m. The two children were screaming. They were also running up and down the hall and banging on our door and other hotel guest doors. Several children's toys on high volume were blasting the ABCs over and over again along with other sounds. The family had their TV on what was probably the highest setting. Two women were screaming constantly at the kids, who then, we think, started banging on the shower walls, making that unique echo sound. It wasn't good, but we waited until 11, about when we got ready for bed, and called the front desk to ask if someone could ask them to quiet down. No problem, we thought. They probably don't know how loud they're being. Wrong. Someone comes and speaks with them, but they only got louder. More screaming, more kids' toys, more crying, more banging, pounding, and God knows what else. By now, it's about 11:45, and my husband and I were desperate to sleep. We called downstairs again and pleaded for a different room. No, apparently the hotel was full, which we said, okay, fine, please come back and ask them to be quiet again. They got louder. I had the AC on as low as possible just to keep the system going to drown out some of the noise. Can confirm, I could still clearly hear the ABC song toy blaring through the AC, and the mom was still just screaming at her kids, clear as day. After 2 more calls to the front desk, it ended up being 12:45 a.m. With every call, they just got louder and louder. We had to wake up at 6 a.m. and drive, but knew we couldn't get to sleep with this. My husband went over to the adjoining wall and banged on it a few times and yelled, "Shut up!" I admit this was not a great move on our part. We probably could have gone out of the room to their open door and asked politely, but the staff at the hotel had done that several times to no avail. We thought maybe they'd realize how frustrating it was by knocking like that. If someone had did that to me, I would feel pretty terrible and just silence myself. Although, to be fair, I don't think I would ever make enough noise for that to happen, but whatever. We were very wrong. A few minutes later, a male person from their party attempted to get into our hotel room. He was jiggling the door handle hard on both the hall door and the connecting door. He was hitting the door so hard I thought the lock may actually bust off. He didn't say a word, just extremely intense and very clearly trying to get into the room. This wasn't like the shut the frick up knock my husband did, and it wasn't like a knock you'd get when someone is listening to music and you need their attention. It was full on smashing that door with fists. I was pretty terrified and my husband was as well. This guy and at least one other person from the family then were walking past our door yelling things like psychos, crazies, nut jobs, lovers, etc., with the occasional knock and bang on the door. Eventually, the intense banging stopped, but the pacing did not. The hotel staff kept hanging up on me, which was infuriating because at this point, we had more of a serious situation. Eventually, one front desk staff said she would call the police, and we said we just wanted to get the frick out and to just have the police escort us down since we were afraid to even open our door. At this point, it was 1:15 a.m. We didn't even need them to address the noise or insanity. We would just leave and be done. 30 minutes later, I called the police myself because they still had not arrived. I did try calling the front desk at around 1:30 for an update because it had been 15 minutes and the woman said they're coming and hung up with no additional info. Eventually, the police came. Again, 30 minutes after the front desk supposedly called them. Not sure about that, but whatever. And helped us downstairs as the woman said whatever stupid things to us on our way out. The police said she was pacing back and forth in front of our door when they got to our floor and were happy we didn't try to confront them in person. When we got downstairs, I tried speaking with the front desk staff who did say they would refund us. They didn't offer to call nearby hotels or give any suggestions on where else to stay in the area. We were lucky that I was able to wake up my elderly parents at 1:45 a.m. and let us in the house. I didn't have a key, and that we weren't genuinely out-of-towners. The next day, my husband and I spoke with the director who did apologize, but basically said they didn't have a policy for this type of situation and his staff had no idea what to do. If that man actually got into our room, I have no idea what the hell would have happened. Oh, by the way, apparently the front desk had several noise complaints besides just from our room that night and even earlier in the evening. Edited ad! This hotel is a 3-star hotel and is the place to stay in the town. They usually cater to businessmen and women and families staying overnight and passing to a further destination. Edited ad 2! To prevent the assumptive brovid comments, my husband got brovid from work the week they transitioned to remote. We had to self-isolate and stay home the moment he had to quarantine until we went to our privately owned beach house in July. So I had been home from March to July and he was home from April to July. He got it in April and I got it shortly thereafter from him. Wow, I bet you lots of comments were being rather assuming, I guess, from where they got it. We appreciate your responsibility, and that sounds like a terrifying situation to be in. However, the hotel would typically kick out the people making that much noise, because that's just ridiculous. So this story's called Local Bakery Forgets My Order. Not once, Not twice, but... Oh, not once, but twice. I moved to a different neighborhood, and luckily a nice little bakery that I love is 3 blocks away. So I go there one day, and the selection is small, but they mostly just sell to local markets. They don't have bread at the moment, which is disappointing. I ask if they'll have more tomorrow, and the front worker says usually. At this point, a man sitting down, who I'm assuming is the owner, says I can make an order and pick it up tomorrow. This is so awesome. I'm thinking, heck yes, what a score. I can get all my bread from here every week. So I put in my order, and I order way more bread than I'll be able to eat. 3 loaves of 3 different kinds, so I can try them and figure out what my go-to treat bread is gonna be. I set my pickup time for 11 a.m. The next day, I get there at 11. Same counter guy, I tell him I'm picking up my bread. He goes searching for my bread, but it's not there. The baker that morning decided not to bake it, so he phones someone, tells me he's got it sorted out, the baker is just out getting some supplies and will be back to bake my order. He apologizes and says the owner will comp my bread. I'm disappointed as I wanted to make a baller sandwich, but I'm also pleasantly surprised by the service. Such a nice and amazing thing. I'm gonna get my bread today and they're gonna comp it. I would have been happy waiting another day. So I order a sandwich from the counter guy and leave a massive tip, double the price of the sandwich. And he tells me to come back in 4 hours. I come back 5 hours later just to make sure there's enough time. And when I get there, turns out the baker had decided not to bake the bread, and no one thought to phone me or anything. At this point, I'm super disappointed, and then the counter person, the same guy I've been dealing with, says I can sell you this whole wheat loaf for half off. I have never been built up so high to be so disappointed. I ended up just canceling my order, and now I buy my bread from the big grocery store like just about everyone else. I thought about phoning back and trying to talk to the owner or manager about it, but decided I didn't want to come off too carny about it, so I just let it go. Update: I had been thinking for a while, so after a couple of comments saying I should, I decided before work to go to the store and talk to the owner if possible. Well, let me tell you, the storefront is gone. The bakery is still there, but all the cases and cafe stuff is all gone. I guess I wasn't the only one who stopped going there after a bit. Oh geez. Well, I mean, to be honest, if you're gonna do business like that, don't be surprised when, well, you can no longer do business at all. Alright, this story's called The Time-Traveling Postman. This happened about 2 years ago, but I was just telling the story to a colleague and thought I'd post it here as well. I had ordered something big, which was to be delivered by Royal Mail while I was at work. The way it works in the UK is if that no one is home, the postman leaves a leaflet which you then take to your delivery office on the next working day to collect your parcel. The postman attempted my delivery on the Wednesday, which was the 13th of the month. Let's say for talking's sake, it was June 13th, 2018. I was at work, so he left the leaflet as expected. However, he had erroneously dated it as June 15th, 2018, 2 days in the future. I didn't think this would be a big deal, so I brought the leaflet along with my ID to the delivery office on the next working day, Thursday the 14th. But when I gave my details over to the guy working behind the counter, I could immediately tell that there was a problem. He said he couldn't give me my parcel until 1 working day after the attempted delivery. And since today was the 14th and the leaflet says that the delivery attempt was on the 15th, I'd have to wait until the next working day after the 15th, Monday the 18th, to collect my parcel. At first, I thought he was having a laugh and explained that I know about the 1 working day rule, but the postman had written the incorrect date date on the leaflet. The 15th is tomorrow, whereas the delivery attempt was on the 13th, yesterday. Ergo, this being the 14th, I'm here to collect my parcel. Well, he wasn't having it. I was met with an entirely blank expression. He repeated, "The delivery attempt was on the 15th. You have to wait until the next working day after the 15th to collect your parcel." I tried one more time to explain. I showed him the date on my phone, which said that today was Thursday the 14th, and asked him how the delivery could have been attempted one day in the future. Was this postman a time traveler? He just got annoyed and once again told me that I'd have to wait until one working day after the 15th. He just didn't seem to get it at all. Anyone who is from the UK knows what a job's worth the cooter is, and they'll also know that there's no point in arguing with them. So I resigned myself to waiting until Monday to collect my parcel. Lo and behold, when I went on Monday to collect, it was the same guy working again. And would you frickin' guess what he said to me? "Collect your parcels quicker. This has been sitting here blocking my way since Wednesday." Wow, what a jerk. You would think that they'd have some sort of system to prevent time-traveling postmen, but then again, it is the UK, so don't take that seriously. It was a joke. This story's called, "And Now I Need to Find a New C-Store, But Thanks. My husband is out of town. Ooh. And I didn't have a ride. Ooh. So I hired an Uber. Nice young man. Ooh. Okay, I'm done. Junior, mechanical engineering major at the local university. Booked a round trip to the nearest convenience store for a few things. As we pulled in, I was telling nice young driver that the food at the little cafe attached to the store is so good, because it is, and there aren't a lot of great options on this side of town. Got inside, just grabbing my stuff, and basically the business version of a domestic dispute is happening. A new owner has bought the property. He's evicted the operator of the cafe, who was subcontracting the operation because the Della disrupted business plans for a lot of people. The poor cashier is just trying to mediate between frantic phone calls from the owner and the very angry chef who is being told that he's not allowed to remove his personal property from the cafe. I'm just trying to pay for my stuff in the midst of real mayhem. Got back in my Uber, told the driver never mind about recommending the food because who knows. And then I got home and realized that the poor distracted clerk had undercharged me by about 1/3. I think she forgot to key in 2 of my 3 packs of smokes. I feel bad about that, but I'm not gonna make another $10 Uber trip to correct a $9 mistake. I think I'll go back to my old store. I don't need the drama, and the old store still has a good lunch bar. Okay, honestly, a grocery store with a cool restaurant attached sounds like a cool thing because while you're going to get groceries, you can make a thing like, oh, once a week I get this sandwich from this one specific thing, and it's a nice little treat to myself. Because buying groceries, that's something you should reward yourself for by spending more money. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.